Everybody's probably wondering, man, what happened to everything? Why'd everything just stop abruptly? What's going on anyway? Why is a 70 Impala outside? Wow. You guys have probably been watching the channel and noticing that I've been doing some paint work and stuff. It's kind of why the 70 Chevy got pushed outside. Look at these sweet covers I just painted. Man, these things came out nice. They're a little scratched up because I scratched them up with a scuff pad, but that's fine. This is for it's an old vintage like gas pump, and these are the front and the back covers. I don't ever remember seeing Lamborghini make a gas pump. Maybe they did. I think this is more of a collector's item. But these things are definitely older because they got like the old style hinges and all that. I took all the glass out of this. But these are pretty nice. The sticker was actually already on it, and these were gold right here. All this was gold. Story has it that the person who bought this gas pump from the guy I'm painting it for has a gold or a purple Lamborghini, so they wanted the gold painted purple. But what I suggested is, why don't we take a 1/4-inch tape and utilize the gold that was underneath this? So I went around the sticker, and then I went around the black, because this was always black. And I think that looks cool. So what this is this is actually Plum Crazy Purple. That's on basically a lot of the old Mopars. Nice color out in the sun. So today I'm just kind of buffing these out, getting them polished, ready to go. Check this out though. This is pretty neat. God, look at that. What is that? Look at this artwork. Wow, that's pretty cool. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's just not your thing. So what's this? So what this is this is the trunk lid to the 1970 Impala we're working on. We already have her painted. We got some other stuff on it. We have the bottom of it painted the turquoise color that car is going to be. What I decided was to go and do some kind of cool like lowrider style stuff. This is nothing crazy, just kind of messing around in my spare time. A little bit of spare time that I actually get. So we're just kind of working on that. Pretty cool. Check out this hood right here. It's been in a lot of my videos. That's pretty cool. My old man painted that when I was about 10 years old. So that's kind of where I get it from. Some cool stuff. So today we're working on these a little bit, just kind of hanging around. Why not do like a vlog style video and see what you guys think? First thing I got to do with these, this got 3 heavy coats of clear on it, and I got to wet sand these just to make them real nice. This is like a show quality job. Wet sand these with 1500 grit, and then go over it with the DA with some 3000. Then we're gonna buff them, and then they're gonna look really, really nice. These things are gonna look good after I do all that. I think I'm gonna do it outside because it's nice out today. I don't know. What do you guys think about like where the channel and stuff is going? I know I kind of started out with like you know, trucks and a lot of excavating and that kind of stuff, and then just kind of moved to like whatever, cars and that kind of stuff. You guys have been watching me for a long time. You obviously know that I'm kind of a jack of all trades. I have a lot of different interests. I just kind of go like where I want to go. And all I know is like right now with like fuel prices going through the roof and everything going on, it is very tough to run the excavating business and run trucks and equipment, and you really have to find clients that pay. And unfortunately, we live in such a competitive world that there's always people that could do stuff cheaper. There's a lot of ways around that. You could make things better. You could try to, you know, make yourself more unique. But around here where I am, there's a lot of Amish, and the Amish actually have businesses where they can run machinery and stuff like that. They have large groups of people working, and it's really, really tough to compete with the prices that they can give out. And it really hurts the guys like me. And the excavating business is something where you have to spend a lot of money just to start up in the spring. I know a lot of you guys that are watching are probably in different states where you could do that kind of stuff all year round. However, where I am, the weather is bad from like December to May or March or April. And I used to run stuff in the winter all the time. Now that I'm older and I have pretty nice equipment, I don't run anything in the winter. The amount of destruction that you get from the salt on these roads in New York, and I'd say like anywheres in the Northeast in the winter, just is not worth the money you make unless you're making a lot of money doing this. And right in the particular spot I am, it definitely doesn't have like the best economy. I'm not by any big cities. I'm kind of out in the middle of nowhere, you know, so there's not tons and tons of money to go around here. So it's definitely hard to turn big money when you're not by it. You know, the nearest big city from me, like Saratoga Springs, New York, or Utica, New York, and both of those cities are at least an hour from me. So you have to travel at least an hour to do any kind of decent money business. Where with what I've been doing here, doing this custom little paintwork stuff, the customers come to me and I don't have to go give estimates. I don't have to spend tons of money in maintenance on vehicles that get 4 miles to the gallon. I can really just do what I'm doing here out of my garage with just the basic requirements I need to do this legally. That is a lot cheaper than maintaining a big truck and trailers. So as I stated, what's everyone think about where the channel's going? What's everybody think about kind of the cars and that kind of stuff I've been working on? I'd like to do more stuff with the trucks, but it's just so tough, and you know, I just kind of like working on the lighter stuff. I've actually worked on trucks my entire life, basically since I was younger. I mean, I worked on cars more, but around the time I was 16 or 17, I really started getting into the trucks big time, and it's just like a non-stop thing from that. So I'm kind of like in the point in my life where I'd like to downsize a little bit. I just kind of enjoy working on the cars again. The stuff is so much lighter after moving around truck engines and truck transmissions and rear ends and truck tires and stuff for a long time. Man, this car stuff, it's like a big block Chevy is just a paperweight. A big block Chevy is a play toy compared to what I'm used to. So I'm actually enjoying working on the cars and stuff like that. I'm not into politics and I don't want to make my channel go in that direction, but man, these gas prices are just insane right now with this stuff going on. I don't know what's going on, but I hope we figure it out, because this is hurting everybody. This is literally hurting everybody except for the oil companies. You know, no matter how you look at it, it's going to hurt every business, because like stuff like this stuff isn't a necessity. It's really cool, but you don't need to paint cool stuff. You don't need to paint your car or your motorcycle tank or whatever you're painting. You know, you don't need it. This kind of stuff relies on people having some extra money. If no one has any extra money to spend, they're not going to do this kind of stuff. So it's a real shame that all these prices are going way up, making all of us suffer. So there, we just spent like, it only took us like 15 minutes, if that, to go over this with some 1500 and kind of see, like, I don't want to get all the orange peel out. I want to get most of it out and then like sand down. You could feel like where the sticker is and stuff, just kind of sand down a little bit. And then what we're going to do is, now we have the DA, and that's got 3000 grit on it right there. So that's just going to go over and just put finer scratches in it, and then we'll be able to buff this thing. You go over it with this, it makes buffing real easy. I'll tell you what, a long time ago, in a place that once was, I had a DA and I was doing this exact same thing. And previously I was using the DA on Bondo, and I had 40 grit sandpaper on the pad. And I don't know what I was thinking. It was actually on a red pickup truck hood. I went and just completely wasn't paying attention. I didn't even think. I thought that I put the 3000 grit on there, and I just went right on that fresh painted red hood with 40 grit and just started going. And it was weird too, because I didn't even realize, it didn't even click like what was going on. All of a sudden I'm like, the paint was coming off and you could see the primer, and I kind of thought like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do, we're repainting the hood. And then I'm still going, like, this went on for probably about a minute. I'm still going, and I'm like, another relay clicked, and I'm like, uh-oh, I'm not repainting this hood because I just painted this hood yesterday. I'm supposed to be wet sanding this thing to buff. Well, guess what? I ended up repainting the hood again. So that was a crappy move. But you know what? The moral of the story is, we're all human beings. We all make mistakes. I had to completely repaint that hood, and I made a mistake. But that's just the way it is when you do stuff like that. So definitely when you're doing this, take the extra 2 seconds and make sure that you have the correct grit on there for your application, so you don't do that, because that really stinks when that happens. And see, it's as simple as that. And see how much shinier that is now. I don't know if you can really see it on camera, but going over that with that 3000 grit definitely makes it a lot more uniform than the 1500. The 1500 grit, you could totally buff over 1500. You know, when I was younger, when I was a kid, my dad used to make me sit out in the hot sun and buff cars by hand over 1500 grit. And you know what? Back in them days is when parents could still be parents. You know, I used to hate it. But you know what? Looking back, my dad didn't do that because he was mean. He did it because he wanted to discipline me. And that's what a lot of people lack in this world now, is discipline. And that's why nobody wants to work. All anybody wants to do is play on their phone and just get paid for it nowadays, because there's literally no discipline in this world. And that's what discipline does. And you know what? When you do that kind of stuff, you'll always remember, yeah, was it fun back then to do it when I was little, when I wanted to go be playing with other stuff? And when I say little, I was probably around 10, 12, 13 years old, something like that. But you know what? Nowadays, I want to say one thing. Thank you to my dad and to all the other old timers that I worked for in that time period that rode my ass really hard and made me do stupid stuff like that. Not that it was stupid, but stuff like, I was always like, Dad, how come you get to use the buffer and you're making me do it by hand? And all I was told was, you'll find out someday. Well, guess what? I did find out. And all them old timers that I worked for that made me do stuff like that, all I can say is thank you, because you made me into the kind of person that is not afraid to work and not afraid to do stuff. One saying that I learned a long time ago that stuck with me: if you're too big to do the little things, then you're too little to do the big things. I used to work for this guy when I was a teenager. It was a car dealership, and he had like really nice cars and stuff. And me and this guy are still friends to this day. He used to make me, nobody believes this, he used to make me sweep his garage floor with a paintbrush. And of course, he had a really nice garage. It wasn't like my garage, but he used to make me sweep his floor with a 4-inch paintbrush on my hands and knees. And then go in his office. He had like a 20 by 20 office with like a really nice tile floor. He used to make me go in there, sweep that with like a little whisk broom, and then get down on my hands and knees and like wax the floor with this cleaner stuff. And we did that every single weekend, whether it needed it or not. And you know what? I used to get so mad. I used to hate doing that stuff. But you know what? Looking back, that was some of the best days of my life. That was some of the best discipline I ever got right there. Kind of reminds me of like the Karate Kid movie. How many of you guys watch that movie, The Karate Kid? I remember like the guy, it's been years since I seen that movie, but I do remember like the guy in there used to just make that kid do like all kinds of like stupid stuff, like paint rooms and like pick up stuff and sweep the floor and just all kinds of weird things like that. And that kid used to get so mad, and then all of a sudden one day it kind of clicked, and that kid realized that he learned a lot of discipline, and just like that, he was able to go out and kung fu some ass. It's kind of like the same concept. So all them years of sweeping the floor with a paintbrush, hand rubbing 1500 grit out in the sun, all that stuff paid off. It's time to buff now. So what do we use for a buffer anyway? Well, I use one of these Bauer Harbor Freight junks. It's not junk, it actually works pretty darn good. I'm pretty happy with it for the price. I use the better foam pads. I actually go out to my local body shop supply store and I buy the better buff pads, because when you're doing good work or any work, do you want to get to the point where you're buffing it and potentially destroy all that hard work over a cheap pad? These pads are like, the good ones are like 25 bucks a piece and they last forever. So just buy the good pads. They actually make a tool for this, but what I like to do is just get a flathead screwdriver, and when you buff for a long time, a lot of that buffing compound gets caked on. So you get this baby going, and you just put your screwdriver on it so it's going that way. And you'll see, it cleans right off. And you definitely don't want to go the wrong way with the screwdriver because you'll probably end up with a screwdriver in you. So make sure you're careful when you do that. What do I like to use for compound? I like to share stuff because I'm really particular in the materials I use. So I really like this Presta Ultra Cutting Cream right here. I've been using this stuff for a long time and I really like it. Everybody has their own opinions on stuff. Well, you know what? Knock the clear down with 1500 grit, go over it with 3000 on the DA, hit it with this, and then we got one more step after this and you're guaranteed to come out with a good job every time. This stuff is kind of pricey, but it's worth it. And again, it's just like the buffing pad. It lasts a long time as long as you use it right. I like to run the buffer at a lower RPM, around 1000 or so on fresh paint. I turn it up when I'm on older paint a little bit to kind of melt it in, but on fresh paint, you don't need to spin that fast. As you can see, it doesn't take much to get a really nice mirror finish. On this black part over here, you'll really see it come to life because there is nothing like shiny, fresh black paint. There you go. Man, look at that. That looks really nice. Wow, this is really satisfying when you do stuff like this and just take your time. It comes out really nice. Man, look at that. You can't even, it doesn't even do it justice, video, but man, it looks good. I like that stripe. All these imperfections right here on this black are definitely not mine. The customer did not want me to touch the black. This black was already done. This thing was black and gold before. So I'm not really happy with that because it kind of doesn't really look good, but you can see the line I did in the gold and the purple came out really nice, but this black line is kind of wonky, but whatever. It looks all right, I guess. Oh, if you guys could feel this, it just feels absolutely amazing. Looks really nice. I'm really happy with this. Here's the final step, these paint projects right here. It is a fine foam pad on your buffer, and I have this 3M, this ultra fine machine polish right here. You go over top of it with this nice and slow, and man, it just makes it look, I mean, brand new is an understatement. So this stuff works really nice. I'm really happy with this product. There's actually a 3-step system that 3M makes, but I actually don't like it. And this is the final stage. This is the 3rd step. They make the cutting compound and then like a mid thing, and then this is the final. I like this Presta Ultra Cutting Cream to do the main cutting, and then I like this stuff after. The 3M stuff kind of gums up and it just doesn't work as good as this. Doing it with that, with the wool pad, and then going over it with the foam pad with this is just the way to go. And look at it, it's even purple. This stuff here really goes a long way. This stuff's pretty expensive, but this stuff goes a long ways. This stuff here you want to move nice and slow, because what you're doing now is you're taking all the swirls out from the buffer, from the wool pad. You want to move nice and slow and nice and consistent. Man, oh man, I tell you, that just gives you a really, really nice finish when you're done with this step. I mean, it's never gonna look this good again. Wipe it off. I like the microfiber towels for the final stuff. I don't like them for rubbing or cutting, but for the final product, these microfiber towels work pretty darn good. To be honest, my favorite thing, like if you have to buff something with regular compound, something like this, my favorite thing to use is just like an old shirt. This material on these shirts, just take it and cut it up and make things out of it. These microfibers just don't really seem to like cut good when you're trying to buff. We say cut because you're actually scratching the surface up constantly when you buff. You're just making really fine scratches. And these just don't really seem to do it. But with the fine stuff and the swirl remover, they work really good. But just look at that. This thing is smooth. I mean, this is smoother than a piece of glass. So we do this whole thing like this, we are going to be looking pretty darn good. There, so there we have it. We have these things all put back together, ready to deliver. Man, they look nice. I had to move inside just because it started to get a little cold and dark out. But just look at how nice and smooth these things are. I got the glass put back in. These are actually hand painted by somebody. It's just like a black piece of plexiglass with somebody like brush painted that on. So that's pretty cool. Kind of tells me right there that Lamborghini probably didn't actually make gas pumps, but what do I know? Well, luckily we managed to get these things in the car just fine. Nothing got damaged. That's a good thing. So it's a couple days later into this stupid video. I don't even know why we're making this. But anyway, those doors we were working on for that Lamborghini gas pump, that customer absolutely loved those things, man. They were like ecstatic about it. And that is what it's all about, is making people happy. So we're over here today. We just got the Pontiac vibe in the garage. Just vibing, you know what I mean? We're just going through this. I gotta get this piece of junk inspected. It is the end of March and the inspection expires. So we gotta get this junk inspected. Man, she took a beating over the winter. We actually had a good winter up in central New York here. Not really a good winter, but a harder winter than average. Kind of went off the road a couple times, broke my mirror, had to get a junkyard mirror. Broke the door handle, had to get a junkyard door handle. And just some other boo-boos. Oh yeah, the bumper cover over here got broke off. So I had to screw that back on with a couple, you know, quality stainless screws. 'Cause that was just flapping in the wind. We got her looking pretty good though. This car's getting pretty crusty. Oh yeah, and all the body work I did on this thing. I did this body work. If you remember a few years back when I was building this garage, I wasn't in a video, but I got stupid hair up my butt one day and I decided to do a bunch of donuts. And I kind of lost it and went into the woods and smashed this whole quarter panel right in on this car. I mean, like bashed it in really bad. I just kind of wanted to do an experiment. And actually, there's actually a video of me doing it. I just kind of popped the dents out and just loaded this thing with Bondo. Because I wanted to see how much it would hold up. And this is about 3 years later. Actually, I noticed last winter I had some cracks starting in it. And then over the course of last summer and then this winter, I had some water getting down in and really starting to push this Bondo out. And you could see how thick it is. I just loaded it because I wanted to actually see, like, you know, how long will it actually last if you just glob something with Bondo? And I used all the cheapest materials I could find on this, like just like somebody that would just go into like Walmart's or AutoZone would buy, and just, you know, the only thing I used was like good paint on it because I already had paint, but everything else was just cheap junk. And it lasted like 3 years, but now it is completely, I actually rattle can that because it was just rusty metal. It held up for a few years. It looks like crap, but whatever. This thing is a driver. I'm not going to put a new quarter on it. Maybe we'll fill it with Bondo again and see if we can get another few years out of it. I don't even know if this car's got that much life left. So that's that ordeal there, which stinks because it actually looked pretty good when it was done. But oh well. So we got to get this thing ready for inspection. Everything's pretty much ready. All the lights work. So now we're working on something cool, actually. So I got the 7D Impala here under the tarp because it's been outside because I've been doing some work in the garage. I got these wheels. I got 2 of these wheels here. I actually got 4. I got 2 wheels that are 12-inch wide and these 2 are 10-inch wide. And the ones that are 12-inch wide are the ones on the Duster. And these ones here I want to see will fit on this car. However, I had these wheels on this car in the fall And that was before I did any body work and anything to it. And the problem I had was the wheels. I'll try to pull this tarp out in a minute here. The wheel was actually hitting the inside of the wheel well a little bit. But since then I did the quarters and I actually trimmed on the lip. I actually trimmed a lot of that back. However, when I put the wheels on it in the fall, it did not have brake drums on it. So now it's got brake drums on it, which is gonna put the wheels out a little more. I gotta see if these wheels are even gonna work, because if they're not, I gotta figure something else out. The reason I wanna see if these work is because I found somebody that's actually got the same exact ones, but they're 7 or 8 inch wide that match these perfectly, that I could put on the front. So that'll be kind of cool. They'll fit in there, but the biggest problem is the back space, and I'm not sure it would really be a pain to change the back space, because I'd have to cut all these welds, and yeah, that's not really going to be a ideal job to change the back space. I'll do it if I have to, but it becomes if it's even worth it or not. Got these on. These look cool on this car. Man, this don't really fit that great though. See right there, camera don't really do it justice, but there isn't much room. There really isn't much room in there. I don't know. Problem is the wheel sticks out just a little much, and if you go over a really big bump, I think that's definitely gonna hit that wheel well. And I cut that lip back pretty good, so I don't know. I'm just gonna have to kind of decide what I want to do. I might just cut them welds in the back and bring it to a machine shop and have them chuck this thing up in a lathe and just tack it back on for me so it's true, and just weld it back on to offset the back space a little bit. Because the wheel tub on this car is plenty wide enough for a tire like this. You know, there's plenty of room for that tire in there, just the back space is just not quite where it needs to be for this application. And that tire, all I'd have to do is go in 1 inch and it would be perfect. I might look into that. I'm not really sure what. I already have these. The tires are pretty decent. They look cool. And I found a set on Marketplace that has good tires on them. And they're really, really cheap. I mean, there's my answer to the tires for this thing, because these 14-inch tires just don't look right on this car. It needs bigger wheels on it. It's a bigger car. What's up, everybody? This is like the 3rd day of this like just weird random vlog video that I'm making. What are we doing today? Well, behind you, we have something pretty darn cool in the high voltage shop today. You guys are gonna get knocked right out of your armchairs, because this is definitely not something that you usually see at the high voltage shop. Follow the channel and figure out what we're gonna do to this thing. But check this out. Woo! Look at that. 2002 C5 Chevrolet Corvette. Man, this thing is mint. Got her up on jack stands. What are we doing to it? Well, you're just gonna have to find out what we're doing to it. Is it mine? Is it a customer's? Well, you'll just have to figure it out. I don't know. We still have the Chevy Impala sitting out there. We still have the International. We still have the Peterbilt over there. I mean, we didn't sell anything. The Duster's still safe in its other shop. We didn't sell nothing. Maybe we bought this. Maybe we won it. Man, I don't know. I don't even know what's going on right now. It's not every day where we got something like this in the high voltage shop. We've had a few of these in and out of here. Not Corvettes, but a few nice cars, pretty cars like this. But it's definitely not every day we get something like this in here. Oh yeah, this thing's pretty nice. Look how nice this car is. Doors open, beautiful. Man, door jambs. This car is in beautiful shape. The interior on it's really nice. Man, oh man, I mean this car, somebody took very good care of this car. Got some 18-inch wheels on it. Brakes are like brand new. This thing is not from New York, obviously. I mean, this car is literally like, this thing doesn't even have any chips in it. So yeah. Oh, I lied. It's got a little something there. No big deal. This card's pretty mint, though.
End of transmission.